everyone, welcome back. My name is Susan Yara. This is Nikki LaRose.
Hi.
She is one of my besties and my makeup artist. And today we're gonna give you a tutorial on this makeup look. But first I'm gonna talk to you about skin prep, mostly why I choose moisturizer instead of primer underneath makeup. And that's because it makes your makeup look so much smoother.
Absolutely.
We recently got to go on a trip. I was a judge for Miss USA, and we got a chance to do some glam looks, which was so much fun because we don't do that lately.
So different, yeah. You got to really dress up in beautiful gowns, and I had the chance to really go for it with your makeup. Like normally we do a lot more natural makeup, obviously for YouTube and for shoots, but this time we got to go really glam, and it was so much fun.
And that's one of the reasons why it's so important to talk about how you get a smooth makeup look, because I think people don't realize it has a lot to do with what they're doing before they put their makeup on.
Absolutely, it's so important. It's so crucial that you're starting with a good foundation.
All right, so I obviously don't have any makeup on because we're gonna do a tutorial and show you guys how Nikki basically created that whole entire makeup look. But before, I wanted to talk about the most important step, and that is prepping your skin for makeup. So I wanted to talk about our partner for this video. It is Skinfix. This is their Barrier Plus Lipid-Peptide Cream. I took this with me to Miss USA so that I could give it a try, and I fell in love with this stuff. It is so good. I wore this every single day, and I wore it under my makeup for every single one of those looks. So it is a really rich, nourishing cream. It has a triple lipid complex in it, and essentially the thing to think about with lipids is that we already naturally have lipids in our skin. We have fatty acids and lipids, and they start to eventually go away. You start to have less and less. You get depleted as you get older, and your lipids also really are important for skin barrier function. So if you have irritated, sensitive skin, it might be because you lack the lipids that you need. And that also plays into when it comes to the makeup. If you have dry, cracky skin, obviously it's gonna look worse under makeup.
Absolutely.
You know, like if you're not wearing a moisturizer, makeup is only going to accentuate those kinds of issues.
Look awful on top of that dry skin.
Yeah, but also speaking about skin barrier function, this has peptides in it. It has a peptide protein blend. This specifically also has lily root extract, which is really good for giving you that like tight, plump looking skin.
Yeah.
But I want to show you why moisturizer is so important under your foundation. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. This is what Nikki used on me at Miss USA. So I'm gonna put a little bit of the moisturizer on my hand in just this one little area. So you can see I'm rubbing it into this area, and then I'm not going to put any moisturizer in this area. I'm gonna let that settle in. And I want you to keep in mind, this is already a really great foundation on its own. So it's not gonna be like, whoa, that's terrible. But had this been just not a really good foundation, or even, you know, more so like a matte foundation.
Yeah, true.
This would be settling into all of the cracks and everything in my skin. So think of the top of my hand kind of like, you know, on your face, like if your pores really stand out, they look like they're large, or you have a lot of texture on your skin, or you have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, or any kind of like crackiness to your skin. If you haven't properly moisturized, as the foundation settles into your skin and dries down, it's just gonna accentuate that stuff. So that's what it looks like, and you can see the cracks in the top of my hand. And then if you put the foundation on the area where it's now moisturized, but for some reason it also gives it something to like grab onto.
It definitely gives it grip, like a primer would.
Yeah, just like a primer would. But I think moisturizer is so much more important than primer.
Absolutely.
And then look at that. It just looks so much smoother and almost dewy. And I guess like healthier looking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a huge difference. I mean, you can just see like it's already settling into any kind of like texture or anything on the top of your hand, and it just looks so smooth on top of the side.
Yeah. So obviously the moisturizer makes a really huge difference. The thing to think about with primers is that, so when it comes to pilly skin, when people are like, my makeup is always pilling, and they think they associate it with their skincare products, but what's really happening is a lot of the really good foundations these days, like foundations have just come a really long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you really think about it, foundation is essentially skincare. We consider it makeup because it has tint to it, but it's essentially skincare. And primer is also a form of skincare as well. So what you'll find is a lot of the foundations these days have the same types of ingredients as primers, and those ingredients are the different types of silicones. You know, this Charlotte Tilbury one has like 4 or 5, maybe even more different silicones, not just dimethicone. And that makes it very fancy because it's creating this texture that makes it very beautiful and makes it very smooth on the skin. There are also silicones and other types of ingredients that are considered film formers. And so those film formers literally create the feel of a film. You know, if you get like these primers or sometimes moisturizers or foundations, you can feel that like soft, almost powdery.
It's like an airbrush feeling.
They do that with these ingredients to make you feel like it looks that way, right? And it just goes on smoother and everything. Those ingredients are nice, but if you get a moisturizer that has those same ingredients, and then you put a primer on that has those same ingredients, and then you put a sunscreen that has those same ingredients, and then you put a foundation that has those same ingredients, or even just a combination of 1 or 2 of those, then you get the pilling.
Yeah.
Because they're not meant to work together.
A little bit is great, but keep it in moderation.
Yeah. Okay, Nikki, I pass the mic to you.
So I'm gonna apply it with a big synthetic brush and just really work it in. And we always prep your skin with tons of moisturizer before we do the makeup, and I usually let it soak in completely while I'm doing your eye makeup. So now I'm gonna take, with a clean fingertip, of course, a little more of that cream and just pop it under her eye.
And for those of you wondering, we were quarantined together for over a week.
Yeah.
While we were at Miss USA and got COVID tested.
Multiple times.
Nose swabbed, and then landed, and then got tested, and then got tested again. Yeah. So we decided since we'd spent so much time together before we both get let out into the
before I'm
into
sent out in the world.
Yeah, we might as well shoot a video.
Yep. So I'm just gonna primer eyes. I'm using a cream concealer from NARS. So now I'm gonna take a setting powder, just a loose one. This is one of my favorites. It's the By Terry Hyaluronic Acid powder. This one is super fine, so it's not gonna add a thick layer onto your eyes. And it's just gonna set that base so when we go in with our colors, they're not gonna skip. They're gonna just go on nice and smooth. And again, it's the same idea as the rest of your face too. Let's move on to some brows. We're gonna use the Patrick Ta Brow Wax, the tinted one. This is awesome. So I'm gonna start brushing that into her brows. And this is gonna allow me to really see where I need to go in and fill afterwards. Brushing that was kind of like showing where the gaps are. And this does have some hold because it is a wax, so it's gonna help to groom them and keep them pushed up and in place. I do this before foundation because if you mess up and you kind of get the wax anywhere where the brow is not, it's easy to clean up. And then you can kind of go in and press them down too. Okay, so now that the brow wax is in, I'm gonna grab one of our favorite products. It's the Glossier Brow Flick. So I'm just gonna draw on little hair-like strokes, just following the direction of her brows. To finish off her brows, I'm gonna use the Milk Makeup Cush Fiber Brow Gel.
I like this stuff.
Yeah.
I've been using this, and I bought a separate one outside of my kit.
That means you really like it. If you use it outside of me, that means you love it.
I like that it has a tint to it.
Me too. And it's a little bit lighter than her actual brow hair, which I like because it softens her brows a little bit, especially in that inner part of the brow. It's nice to have them a little bit softer and a little bit lighter than the tail. The tail can be a little more dense in color and darker. So just brushing that product up, just like we did with the Patrick Ta Brow Wax. So now I'm gonna go in with a darker shade. This is actually a foundation stick. This one's from Bodyography, much darker than her skin tone. And we're gonna go in and just kind of create a lift and a shape, almost like contouring her eye. So this is gonna be our pre-eyeshadow base. The placement is crucial for this product. So what I'm doing is just kind of taking a little bit of that cream and I'm scooping it upwards towards her temple. And it's gonna give her eye a very, very subtle lift up. And then a little bit more, I'm gonna just round out your eye shape and drag it down your nose just a little bit. So now I'm gonna add this like smoky taupe color. It's a cream eyeshadow from Sigma, and this is gonna be our base for the smoky eye. So since this is Susan's product, I'm just gonna apply it directly to her eye.
Yeah, all of these products are in my own personal kit, you guys.
Yeah, none of this touches anyone else. So just apply that all over her actual eyelid, and then I'm gonna grab a blending brush and just softly blend it into the crease. Okay, so the base is on, so now we're gonna go in with our powder shadows. So starting with I love this palette, this is your palette. I need this for myself, it's so pretty. It's a Sigma Warm Neutrals palette, and we're gonna use the color Toasty. So taking a small flat brush, I'm just gonna start pressing that onto that first cream color that we used. Now going back in with a fluffy brush, a little more of that toasty color, and then just slowly buffing it into the crease. Okay, now onto our next color. Same brand, Sigma. This is the Enchanted palette, and we're gonna use the color Loam and Claystone. But they're basically just like a dark taupey brown. Starting with Loam. So like I said earlier, we're doing the smoky eye in layers. And so this is going to add a lot more depth to the smoky eye. And rather than like going in and like buffing it all over the place and creating a mess, even though this is a fluffy brush and that's what it's intended for, I'm just taking a little bit of the product and I'm lightly patting it onto her eyelid. And then I'm taking my larger fluffy brush and then just diffusing that crease and then lightly blending it up. Okay, so now I'm taking the darkest color, Claystone, and a smaller shading brush, and I'm just gonna start placing that along her lash line, and this is gonna act like her eyeliner. We'll go over it with a pencil too, and then blend it out some more. It probably seems so excessive to have so many layers, but all those layers really do add up, and they do give you such a great effect to your smoky eye. Rather than having like a flat smoky eye, this has more depth.
Dimension.
Dimension, yes. Now we're gonna move on to a pencil. I'm gonna go over her lash line with Mambo. This is from NARS. This is one of our favorite eyeliners. It's a dark brown. We use this when we're not doing a smoky eye too. This pencil is a must. It's so versatile. You can do it for smoky eye or like a daytime.
The color, it's that color and the way it applies.
It's so nice, it's so creamy. So since it's an eye kohl, it's gonna go on, like we said, nice and creamy, and then you can go in and blend it out too before it dries down. But then once it's dried down, it's set. So I'm just pushing this into her lash line, making sure that lash line is nice and smoky and there's no skin tone popping through. Going back in with that darkest brown eyeshadow again and that same brush, I'm just gonna go on top of that liner, only in the outer corner, and just gently press that in and set it even more and just kind of diffuse the line. I'm gonna tightline, so I'm gonna have you open but look down towards your lap. I'm just gonna gently lift her eyelid a little bit and get in there and work this pencil into her top lash line even more. So this is important for a smoky eye because if you look straight ahead, you can still see that skin tone underneath your lashes, and on this side you can't. So it's ultimately gonna make your lashes look denser, darker. It's gonna add to that smoky effect. This is really a crucial part of the smoky eye. If you skip this, it just doesn't look finished. Okay, so this was my favorite step. This added that sparkle and that drama and really took it up a notch. This one is a glitter pigment from NARS. I am gonna use my fingertips. Susan knows I'm clean, so I'm dabbing that into her product. It almost feels like a cushiony texture.
Yeah, it's like a putty, like a putty.
Yeah. So it is a pigment, so I'm gonna be careful with it. So I'm warming it up on the top of my hand and I'm gonna dab it out with my fingertips. By doing this, I'm kind of pre-prepping it, so when I put it on her eyelid, it's not gonna like fall anywhere. We're not gonna have as much fallout. It's gonna just stick onto her eyelids. So now that her eyelids are done, for the most part, we're gonna hold off on lashes and we're gonna do her bottom lash line. And so we're basically gonna repeat all the same steps that we did on the top, on the bottom. And so it's the same idea for the bottom lash line too. We're doing that cream shadow stick, and then we're setting it with the powder shadow. So it's not gonna crease, it's not gonna run, it's gonna last all night. Now I'm gonna work this liner into her bottom lashes and really get in there and make it smudgy. Smudgy and sultry. Now we're gonna take a Q-tip and just lightly clean that area.
Micellar water.
Little micellar water. So now that your eye makeup is on, we're gonna go in with some lashes, and these are the She's a Natural from Patrick Ta.
We're gonna do this off camera really quick so she gets this right.
Yeah, gotta get it right.
Gotta get it right.
So your lashes are on, and while they're drying even more, we're gonna start your foundation. And then we'll do mascara on top to finish them up.
Yeah, this is never the final, final lash look.
It's never done. So we're gonna start to pre-contour your face, and I always say, like, I don't like to contour you, I just like to warm you up and bring out and enhance your bone structure. So I'm going around her hairline. And once I get to your cheeks, I actually don't go where you're typically supposed to contour, which is underneath your cheekbone. I go right above it, and I almost like swoop it up your cheek, and it just gives you more of like a lift and like a sculpt. And make sure you always work it almost into the hair. A lot of people hate having makeup in their hair, and I totally get it. I hate having makeup in my hair too, but it is such a necessary evil because you don't want to see a super pale scalp and then bronzer and foundation. Okay, now for the fun part. Take a pencil brush, same product, look straight ahead. I'm just gonna start to shape her lips. We're basically just creating more of a shadow underneath her bottom lip, which will give you the illusion that your bottom lip is bigger, if you want that. And then I'm gonna trace this along her top lip line, going outside of her lip line, then bringing it in between her Cupid's bow to create more depth. And this is like our pre-lip liner. This is actually something that J-Lo swears by. And then we're gonna go in and do a little bit on the nose. Susan already has a cute little petite nose, so we don't want to slim it too much. And then we're almost gonna connect that cream bronzer into where I rounded out her eyes. Okay, so now time for some pre-foundation highlighting. We're gonna use a Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the color 3.
We love Charlotte Tilbury here.
So we're gonna take this and just pre-highlight the areas I'm gonna go in and highlight later on. So center of the forehead, down the bridge of her nose, and on the top of her chin.
And I want to point out, Nikki has yet to put foundation and concealer on me, so this is another reason why having a nice, rich moisturizer is so important, because she's gonna put all these different layers of makeup on my skin.
Yeah, and the last thing you want is all these layers of makeup sitting on top of dry skin. Mm-hmm. So again, take the time to prep your skin, it's so important. And that moisturizer really does help to grip the makeup, kind of like lock it down. So now we're gonna go in with our foundation finally. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. We love this. And this is the color 5. And I'm gonna start just lightly going over her forehead. I'm not gonna go too high with it, but this is gonna help to blend that highlighter that I just applied and the bronzer and kind of marry the two together. And when you pre-highlight and pre-bronze or contour your skin, you end up using so much less foundation, like you'd be shocked. So we're gonna start with a lighter concealer. This one's from Shiseido. It's a Synchro concealer. I'm just gonna use a little bit of this.
I like this concealer.
Yeah, it's really nice. I just want to brighten this darker corner of her eye, and then I'm gonna take a little bit and highlight the center of her forehead, right between her brows. And I bring just a little bit down the bridge of her nose. And then just a teeny bit on the center of her chin. By doing a lighter concealer right around this area of her eye, it's gonna help to enhance that lift even more. You can see it just kind of brightens that whole area and just brings it up. So now going in with our final concealer. This one's from Hourglass. It's the Vanish Concealer in Pearl. This one has more of a pink tone to it, which I really like under the eye, especially for you. So less is more, but it does give you a really flawless finish, especially for on camera. So taking that right underneath the eye, and then just along the side of her nose. I'm gonna take a little bit underneath your nose. So I'm just gonna gently pat and blend out the edge of that concealer, and then before I set this concealer, I'm gonna go in with a cream highlighter and highlight the top of her cheekbone. Okay, we'll let that set for a second. So now taking the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand in Pillow Talk. We love this. This also has a pinky tone to it, which again, I love on your skin. So you can see I left that concealer that we placed on the top of her nose for highlighting. I'm leaving that because I want it to kind of settle and set and almost oxidize on your skin before I go in and blend it. If you blend out your products right when you apply them, right after you apply them, you tend to dilute them more. And so if you let them sit on the skin and almost like marinate for a minute,
right,
it's more impactful. So this highlight is really gonna be more pronounced since we did let it sit for a couple of seconds. Rather than blending it out right away and diluting the product, it's gonna really pop more.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, so just taking a little bit of that Beauty Light Wand and popping it on the top of her cheekbones. So taking another small brush and a little bit of that product, I'm just gonna highlight the top of your Cupid's bow. A lot of people call it the sweaty lip look. I don't like to think of it like that.
No,
I think it's
sweaty
just
lips
really
look gross.
pretty, yeah. And a little bit on the top of her chin just to kind of bring that out even more. So now I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna gently blend out that nose highlight, and I'm just going to take my beauty blender, I'm gonna squeeze it so it's a little more narrow. I'm not using the tip because it has too much product on it, just FYI. And I'm just gonna pat that in. So now I'm gonna go in under your eye and really press that in and make sure it's nice and blended. We don't have any creases before we set your under eye. That is so important because if you're setting your under eye and you already have creases that you can see, once you set it with powder, it's done. They're not going anywhere. You're setting that crease and it's gonna stay there all day.
Yeah.
Yep. So now we're gonna go set her under eye with the lightest shade in the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish Airbrush Powder and a small fluffy brush. I'm just gonna start to press that in under her eye. I'm just gonna take a little bit along the side of her cheek, just to brighten that area too. And then a little bit on the center of her forehead. Now we're gonna go in and actually bake your under eye just a little bit. Same beauty blender. We're gonna take a little bit of the Laura Mercier Universal Translucent Powder. I'm gonna place this under her eye and then on the sides of her nose. And this is just gonna create like a really soft nose contour. And also it's gonna make sure her nose doesn't get oily throughout the day. Gonna make sure that makeup does not move. And I am really pressing it in as I go. I'm not leaving like a ton of loose powder like you would typically see with baking because it would just ultimately look way too heavy under your eye and it'd be too bright. Get the center of her forehead one more time. And I'm just gonna really, really lightly bake under her cheekbone. And it's actually gonna bring out her contour that we applied earlier and enhance it even more. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with a very thin layer of that By Terry Hyaluronic Acid powder. This is the lightest powder I have ever found on the market. I love this powder.
It's so finely milled.
You do have to be careful with this powder. If you put too much and you don't buff it in, it can really come back to bite you because it will flash back. But I also love this powder because it does add to that smoothing effect. Since it is so finely milled, it gives you like an airbrushed finish. So I'm gonna go with a little bit of a cream blush, and this is the Patrick Ta. We use this all the time. People are probably like, get a new blush because you use this every single day. I love this blush. I have one, I have it in my kit, I have it in your kit. It's the She's So LA. It's the cream powder duo. I'm gonna use a cream. And on top of a clean hand, I am gonna work this and I am gonna warm it up. You get the best results when you warm up your creams rather than just going directly into that product and then placing it on your skin.
And then having to work hard to buff it there, which is what I do.
This is like, that's like working harder, not smarter.
Yeah.
So I'm pre-warming up that product and I'm really getting it all over that brush. And so I'm not dragging it, I'm not buffing it too hard, I'm really just pressing it into her skin because I don't want to disrupt that powder and that foundation and all the other products that we have underneath. I just want to gently tap it on top.
Which is another reason to kind of pre-warm it.
Pre-warm it up, yeah. And you'll notice too, I go really high with Susan's blush. I go really high with all my blushes. I think they look the best when they're almost placed on top of where you highlight. You actually want to place it on top of your cheekbone because once again, going back to like that lifting effect, if you apply your blush too low, it's gonna drag down your face. So bring it up. Don't be afraid to like even work it into the temples. I think it's really pretty. If you work your blush into the temples, it kind of warms up your skin. And then with what's left over on my brush, I'm just gonna really gently tap just a little bit across her forehead just to kind of marry those colors together. And then a little bit on your nose, the teeniest bit. And it really does give you that gentle, subtle lift. So one of our favorites, the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. Using all 3 colors, we're just gonna grab all those shades.
All of them.
All of them. I'm just going to start placing it on top of her blush. So we're basically setting her cream blush with this powder. And why we do that is because of longevity. It's gonna keep that locked in. It's gonna keep it from moving. It's gonna make it last all day. And I'm gonna take same brush. I'm gonna squeeze the tip of it. I'm gonna take the darkest shade, which is not very dark. I'm just gonna start to lightly shade the side of her nose even more. And I'm using this color in particular because it is so soft. Rather than going in with a bronzer to set her cream contour, this is just gonna soften it and make it really natural. Now I'm gonna take the lightest color, same brush, and just go gently in the center of her forehead. Same brush once again, I'm gonna just squeeze the tip of that and make it sharper. Highlight the top of the bridge of her nose.
It's kind of where it dips. I've really been liking that lately. Whenever
That's
I
one
do
of my
like a
favorite,
selfie,
yes.
like a selfie video, I can see the little glimmer, and it's so
subtle,
cute.
but it is so cute, right? And then my favorite is also the very tip of your nose. So taking the NARS Laguna, and once again, we're gonna set that cream product that we applied much earlier with a powder. Of course, I'm gonna work this into her hairline. Now we're gonna do mascara. We're using the Buxom, this is the Extrovert mascara in Extreme Black. I wiped off a ton of this off the brush so it's not gonna be clumpy once we apply it. I'm not trying to get this on the tip of her lashes, I'm just trying to get the root to give it more volume and more density. Ultimately too, that's gonna blend your natural lashes with the fake ones. So now I'm gonna switch to a brown mascara. I use this all the time. It's for your bottom lash line only. It's the L'Oreal Voluminous Mascara in Original. And then one trick, take your fingertip, a nice clean one like I've said earlier, and just drag it across those lashes. And what this does, this is a really old school trick. It's gonna pick up any excess product like that. Okay, now on to lip. I love this pencil so much. It's the Marc Jacobs Nudist pencil. This is a great formula because it's so creamy. Like a lot of pencils are really tend to be dry, so you get like that tug mark unless
you have to like warm it.
Yeah, or unless your lips are really hydrated, which yours always are because we prepped them. But so this one goes on nice and creamy. So I'm just going to get right in there. So I lined your whole lip with this product, but I also feathered it all over your lip as well. I've been loving this color on you, it's a Huda Beauty Demi Matte. So it's not like a full-blown matte where it's like feels really dry on your lips. It's a demi. And it's in the color Day Slayer. We use this color and the lip liner for both our looks we did for Miss USA. So for those asking, it's the same lip for both looks. So I'm gonna apply a good amount initially, and I'm almost gonna just pack it on, and then I'm gonna go in with another brush, and you'll see I'm just gonna kind of blend it in. We're gonna do, don't kill me, one more powder, and this is number 2, same powder as the one before. It's the number 2 shade, it's like the medium shade.
And my skin feels really nice still because I've got the right moisturizer on.
So important. So I'm just picking up a teeny bit of this powder. I'm not packing it on. I'm just doing one light last layer all across her skin. And now we're gonna go in and set it. So you turned me on to the setting spray. I love it. I just bought it for my kit. I love it so much. It's
really?
Yeah. It's just, there's something about it.
It's the mister.
Yeah, the mist, you'll see the mister on this is so fine. It's like, you don't even really feel it hit your face. It's so nice. It's not like an aggressive sprayer. It's the Veil Soft Focus Setting Spray from Hourglass. So make sure you shake it. I always do like a test spray first.
Yeah.
And normally I would cover her eyes as I do that, depending on like if I just finish her eye makeup or not, so that way her mascara doesn't run. But we didn't need to right now. So that's the look. It was one of our Miss USA sultry glams we did.
I like it. It was for the preliminary competition.
It was.
And it was fun. It was fun to change things up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave links to all of the products that we used.
Yes, it's a hefty list.
It's a hefty list, so you don't have to like rewind and go back to anything that was in this video because it's all gonna be in the description box. A big thank you to Skinfix for partnering with us on this video. I'm obsessed with this. Even if you don't wear a lot of makeup, this is an amazing moisturizer. I feel like I've been sleeping on this brand, Skinfix, and the minute I tried this, I was like, I've been missing out. So I encourage you to check out this moisturizer. It's so beautiful and creamy and rich and just so replenishing and plumping to the skin. I'll leave links below to all of Nikki's social media. She has a YouTube channel too.
I do, but
a little bit rusty, but she does put up an occasional video here
Go
and there.
easy on me. In the new year, I'm going to revamp it and try a little harder if I have the time.
That's
so
okay. You've got
go
a job.
easy. At least
You've
it's
got
there.
Work. Yeah. You can find her on Instagram, Makeup by Nikki LaRose.
Yes, I'm there way more often than anything else.
Yeah. Makeup by Nikki LaRose. I'm at Susan Yara, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.